All right, so welcome, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and let's see, my presentation, and then I'll admit everyone to the waiting room. Let's see. All right, Cheryl, can you see, I'm going to turn it into presenter mode, but can you see my slides? Sorry,
Nope, I just see a black screen that says you have started sharing.
okay. Technology is great when it works. Okay, this should be great. This should work. This should work. Now, do you see it?
If your first screen is a black screen, I see it.
No.
It says our viewing Rachel's screen, but just there we go. There we go. Now we see it.
All right. Terrific. Cheryl, while I'm presenting, not to ask you to help us anymore, that you're the guest speaker, if you see someone come in the waiting room, can you just admit them? Because the worst is me not seeing someone and letting them sit. All right, so welcome to Webinar Wednesday. My name is Rachel Watkins Peterson. I'm the project manager, and I'm really excited for you to meet Cheryl Peterson from Wish of a Lifetime. I had the pleasure of hearing Cheryl speak at a committee that I am on, and as soon as she was done, I thought, oh my gosh, we need to help spread the word of Wish of a Lifetime. It's incredible. So I said, can you please do Webinar Wednesday? Because this program is unbelievable, and I just want to help spread the word and hope they can grant wishes for you and your loved ones. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and feel free to stop me along the way and ask questions, or you can type them in the chat. I might not see them right away, but I will absolutely get to them. And then when we're done with the presentation, I will give you my email. This will be the recording will be on our YouTube page, and these slides will be posted on our website. So when we're done, we're not going to leave you hanging and never to be able to be connected again. All right, so RCAW, we do a lot of things. We connect family caregivers to grants. We have trainings for individuals that would like to provide respite care, and we also have free training available for family caregivers. We have business development. We all know there's a shortage of respite care providers in the state of Wisconsin. So we have some workshops for individuals that want to learn how to open up an agency, as well as grants to help them do that. We have grants for existing programs to increase their current hours of respite care that they can provide. And I'm going to get into detail for these with all of these things that I'm mentioning, of course. We have a registry to help connect people that provide respite care to those who need it. And I'll talk more about respite connections. And we also have other resources, education, and ways to engage. Respite is so important. And for the professionals on the call, I'm sure there's family caregivers and professionals, and I'm sure there are professionals that are also family caregivers. But one thing I always like to stress, and I'm sure that a lot of you know, a lot of people that you're working with don't necessarily know what respite care is. So never assume. So always, whenever we're working with families and saying, I think respite care would benefit you. It's a short break from your primary caregiving duties. Because I've had people say to me, is respite kind of like palliative care, or what is respite? So it's not, people don't always know exactly what it means. And essentially it's a short break so they can take care of themselves. And I'm not going to read slide by slide to you, because we all know how kind of not well, I'm just going to be transparent. I don't like reading the slides word for word, because we all have sat through those presentations and they can be sort of brutal. So here are some statistics on why respite care is important. There are tons of benefits to respite care, but obviously for the caregiver, but the one thing that we don't always think about is how beneficial it is to the care recipient. If someone is being cared for by someone who is working a full-time job and then coming home and also taking care of someone's bathing and medication management and transportation and potentially having to cut back at work on their hours to meet the care recipient's needs, anybody is going to be burnt out and exhausted and have a lot of, let's see, we can go back, stress, fatigue, poor sleep, increased risk for chronic health conditions. So anyone experiencing that, I don't care if you're superwoman or superman, you're going to get burnt out, and that's why taking a break is so important. But it's also so beneficial to the care recipient to have respite care, to have moments for meaningful engagement and creative opportunities with trained respite care providers. What we do, or one of the things that we do, is we provide grants for family caregivers to get respite care. There can be a lot of barriers to respite. Sometimes it's finding the right person to provide respite care. Sometimes it's finances. Sometimes it's maybe understandably feeling that someone might not be culturally appropriate for your family. So the great thing about the Caregiver Respite Grant Program is we have no preference on who you hire. You can hire a friend, a neighbor, a family member. I do want to note the family member cannot live in the same household. So let's say, and we do serve the lifespan. So I'll just use an example. If I am, caring for a child with special needs, and I can't hire my partner who lives in the same house and pay them to provide respite care, or my spouse, or my whomever, whatever that relationship is. But if it's a family member who doesn't live with us and isn't typically involved, because that person is probably going to need respite care also. So it's not meant to be a source of income. It's meant to pay for you to get the break. And you can get 5 days of respite care in a 30-day period, and applicants can reapply. Currently, it's every 90 days, and it depends on our funding. So as long as someone tries something else first, they can be eligible for this grant. So here's the eligibility criteria. Like I said, we do serve the lifespan. So if someone's applied for any long-term care waiver support or family caregiver support program, and they have started the application process, but they're not expecting to receive services, or they've been waitlisted, they're eligible. If they've been denied, sometimes families, due to the functional screen or because of assets, might be denied. But I do want to jump from 2 to 5, which might seem unorganized. So where I'm going with this is, if they've not applied because they're ineligible for other supports. So what we mean by that is, if someone's caring for an older adult and they are over the threshold for the Alzheimer's Family Caregiver Support Program, AFCSP, we don't want them to go to the ADRC, the Aging and Disability Resource Center, and say, I have to apply for this, so I get denied. We have applicants call and say, I'm over assets for this program. I need respite. Here's the supporting documentation form. We also work closely with families and ADRCs and counties, depending on the age of the care recipient, and can absolutely answer questions on the phone, via email, how to fill out that supporting documentation. But why I'm honing in on this is, we've had families think they have to apply for a program knowing they're going to get denied. We don't want you to have to do that. Essentially, we've had people come because they need respite, and we connect them to the ADRC or the county, depending on the age of the care recipient, if they're a child, adult, or an older adult, and they've never heard of the ADRC. And now there's like a wealth of resources that open up to them. Or if, I'll talk about number 3, if they've been approved and they've exhausted programs, typically the National Family Caregiver Support Program, people exhaust funding and they need more respite. Or number 4 typically is geared towards children for CLTS. children's long-term supports. If they've applied and they're receiving other supports and the applicant needs flexibility for services not covered by their current funding support. This typically is CLTS and our supplemental respite grant program, which I'll talk about. And this is a lot of information to take in, so don't feel like you need to retain it and understand it 100%. I'm happy to answer questions after the webinar via email, over the phone, and all of this is listed on our website. The steps to apply: the applicant would complete the eligibility criteria form, and then the ADRC or county completes the supporting documentation form. We receive both of those, they're electronic, and if they meet, meaning the potential applicant meets the eligibility, we send them the grant application. It's a link in an email. They apply, and if everything adds up, meaning their 5 days of respite, what they would like to pay the provider is an hourly, their hours, we're able to approve that. Are there any questions so far? Okay, so ways we make it easy for consumers, because we know caregivers are overwhelmed, and sometimes, a lot of times I should say, a grant program can be overwhelming to try to understand. On the Caregiver Respite Grant webpage, sometimes people need it written down, and this is step by step, and you can click these as hyperlinks and they help you apply. Sometimes people need to watch and hear the directions, so we also have a video. So we have many different ways for people to understand the directions, and if you use the document, you can download it and watch the video and still need help, we're happy to help you. So the supporting documentation form, like I said, this just helps verify that other programs cannot serve the primary caregiver first, other long-term care waivers or other caregiver support programs. So one of the things that is so important is that grant programs offer self-direction, meaning there's not a ton of red tape and rules that make it almost harder for the applicant to get the respite while they're filling out the application. So depending on the care recipient and their acuity, so their level of care, some people need to hire a registered nurse to come in. Some people need to hire someone that just needs companion care and someone to sit with to play cards while their caregiver goes and takes care of things for themselves. So we don't have an hourly rate that is set. There are times where the hourly looks high, and we will send an email or call and say, this looks high, help us, make it make sense. And let's see, so we allow the caregiver to determine the rate of pay and maximizing your choice of control. So like I said, it's very important that there's not a ton of red tape and it's not a super low hourly rate. The supplemental, I just want to check my time so I can make sure Cheryl, oh yep, I've got 15 more minutes, so we are good. The supplemental respite grant program is very similar to the caregiver respite program as far as eligibility criteria and how you apply, but the allowable expenses are different. So the why behind this, we had caregivers coming to us saying, I don't necessarily need a break and someone to come in and provide, stay with my husband, my wife, whomever. But what I really need help with are things around the house. Now that is still a break, right? So respite is more of an outcome than a service. So if someone needs a break and they need someone to help with housekeeping, here are all the allowable expenses right here, all of these bullet points. That is okay. So it's $250 for supplemental respite, and applicants can also reapply every 90 days. I would say a frequently asked question is, can I apply for both at the same time? And the answer is absolutely. And the same thing is, I think I have, yeah, this kind of goes a little bit more into depth with allowable expenses. So this is the same the same thing with self-direction. Let's see someone needs help with lawn care and they call a lawn care company and they're not accepting new clients, or, oh, we can start in 6 weeks. Well, they need their lawn cut now. You can absolutely hire a neighbor, a friend, a family member. You can also hire an agent or company. I think agency is more for the care side. So you could hire a company, you can hire whomever you want. As long as the caregiver's needs are getting met and they're avoiding burnout and they're taking care of themselves, that is respite care, and that's what matters to us most. Same thing for the supplemental grant program. I'm going to go to this page. We have on the webpage, we have a document that gives a step-by-step guide, as well as a video you can watch that walks you through how to apply. Same thing for the application process. The applicant fills out the eligibility criteria, the ADRC fills out the supporting documentation form. If everything looks good, we will send the applicant the link to the application. They complete the application. We do ask that you indicate what are you going to be spending the funding on. I would say 75% of the time it is an allowable expense, and then we're able to approve it and we send the check directly to the caregiver. Sometimes people will say, I'm going to use this $250 to hire someone for respite care. I mean, that's okay. They just didn't understand the difference between the two grant programs. Then we say, that's actually not this grant program, it's this grant program. So we're going to send you the link to the other application and get you started that way. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get talking about the registry. So the registry, think of it as a bridge. It provides a bridge for people who provide respite care to those who need respite care. And when this, how am I trying to say this? When this presentation is on our website, all of this is going to be in a PDF document, so you can click all of these hyperlinks and get exactly where you need to go on the website. What I want to talk about, and I'll talk about how to get on the registry in a little bit. There's no cost for someone to list themselves on the registry. There's no cost for a caregiver to search the registry. How you would search, you would enter the county that you live in or the tribe and the age of the care recipient and whether you're looking for in-home respite care or facility-based respite care. Then a profile shows up on the page, and this is the information you'll see. This is Jolene. This is an example of a profile. It shows their contact information, how to get a hold of them, what counties they're willing to provide respite care in, ages they're willing to work. It's up to the provider. Some strictly want to work with children, some just want to work with adults or older adults. And that's okay. But when you do your search initially, the end user, if they do county and age of the care recipient, it'll only pull people that meet your needs. Hours they're available to work, history, licenses, and any other trainings that they've had. I do want to say that the registry, because I'm sure this question is coming, because understandably it always does. This is a consumer-based site, or a consumer-based platform, I should say. So it's up to the person hiring them to call them, to set up the interview, and I can show you where there are resources on how to do this, to run the background check, and to make an informed decision if they're a good fit. We also have respite connections. The best way to describe this is like a reverse registry, if that makes any sense. But what it is family caregivers can post their needs online. They can enter the age of the care recipient, the description of care needs. We are very conscious about PHI, private health information, and not breaching anything that's confidential. So it's just a very high level overview of the needs of the family, the hours, their location and county. in their payment sources. So is it private pay? Is it a Medicaid waiver? And then individuals that are looking for new clients can search respite connections and see who's out there. And we've had a lot of successful connections made with this. So how to get listed on the Wisconsin Respite Care Registry. Individuals must complete the respite care provider training. This is free. It's online. It does meet, the criteria for the respite care training requirements for the Medicaid home and waiver-based waiver programs, I should say, pardon my speech stumble. And I want to show you what it does talk about. These are the 10 courses in respite care. We worked with Arch National Respite in Nashby. It's the National Academy of State and Health Policy. And they came up with a group of subject matter experts that came up with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word, core competencies. I don't know why I couldn't think of that for a second. There were no core competencies for any respite training in the US. So they came up with core competencies, and all 10 of these meet those. Okay, here's some information on how individuals can hire respite care providers. This is a kit for caregivers. We also have, I'm just being very cognizant of time. We also have other training opportunities for respite care providers, but this kit for caregivers, a lot of times individuals caring for someone, hiring someone seems completely overwhelming, and that is understandable if it's the first time they've done it. So it's an introduction to understanding respite in Wisconsin, and also how to hire, train, and retain respite care providers. I do want to point out really quickly, we also understand that a lot of caregivers work full-time. Some of them are older and they don't work full-time and they're retired, but their full-time job is to care for someone. The last thing they want to do is sit down and do a course, or sometimes people retain it the best way. So as you can see, with the ways we want to, give directions on how to apply for grants or how to take courses, we try to meet everyone's needs and learning styles. So you can take the course, or there are files in the section. So how to hire, train, and retain. Like I said, you can do the course, or there's PDF downloads, interview questions, how to run a background check, finding the right person for you, etc., etc. And you can also do this course as a video if you wanted, or an online training module. Or like I said, you could skip the course and just click all the PDF downloads and use those. So it's whatever fits your needs. So it's hiring, circles of care, interview questions, interview situations, getting to know the care recipient, and training a respite care provider. And you'll be able to click here to download those worksheets. We also have some continuing education opportunities. If anyone here is interested, we have a partnership with UW Oshkosh and Cadet Dementia Capable Wisconsin. So for someone that has taken the respite care provider training and they want to take, if they wanted to take the dementia generalist for healthcare providers, we'll cover that cost for them, and it's another online course. However, if you're on the call today and you're in the healthcare field, I can absolutely shoot you the link, and I can connect you, and you can take these courses online. But we also have, I jumped ahead. There's also a course available, Dementia Generalist for Friends and Family. We do not require you to take the respite care provider training. If you're a friend or a family member caring for individuals, and you're unpaid and you want to learn more about the disease, the progression, we want to help you get some education on the disease. Also, we have a partnership with Direct Course. So there's 45 courses. This is where this kind of takes a deeper dive, right? So the respite care provider training is more of a high level overview of respite care. I mean, it absolutely goes into detail, but it's not a deep dive into different diagnoses. So like 45 courses, there's diabetic care, there's learning on autism, cerebral palsy, more on dementia, and just there's 45. You can click the link and see. And these are online, and you can get CEUs if you're a professional and need them. So I wanted to spread that news. And if you are on the call and you're interested in this, you don't have to go through bringing or the respite care provider training. Just shoot me an email. I can see that you came to the webinar, and I'm happy to connect you with these courses. Kind of coming up on time. We do have an online course for bringing respite to your community. It is a 6-week course. It's for individuals who want to open up their own respite care business. And once you do that, here's the, whoops, I don't know if I didn't even mean to click the mouse. It's online, so you can work at your own pace. It's a 6-week. It's recommended to do it in 6 weeks, but you can certainly do it faster. But these are what they talk about: needs assessment, program design, licensing, insurance, policies, procedures, staffing, additional resources, grant writing. Then how to pass bringing respite to your community is there's an assignment at the end that you do, and you meet with Val virtually, and you present your business plan. And then you get your certificate of completion. If you've done that, you are then eligible for a startup grant, and it's up to $50,000. So these are the application dates, the due dates, the decisions, and when people receive their funding. These are some individuals that went through bringing respite to their community and were awarded startup grants. It's always just to show you how like this can be you, and how RCAW, we're living our mission to promote, support, and expand quality statewide respite care across the lifespan. We have RAC cards available, ones about us, free training, respite connections, and the registry, and grants for family caregivers. They're also available in Spanish. There's a link on our website. You can order them. They're free. We also cover the cost. So anyone from an ADRC or a county or any business that would, or if you're a family caregiver and just want a couple, you can order them to have them available as resources. I also want to, I have 1 more minute. I'm surprised I'm doing this well. You can also join us if you're in the Eau Claire area or willing to travel. We're having the 2024 Respite Care Summit at the Florian Gardens, and there'll be more information on the PowerPoint, how to register, as well as the website. Everything I took today is on the website, so none of this is hidden. And a lot of times after webinar Wednesdays, I'll get requests from ADRCs or counties. Hey, can you present virtually to our staff? These are, on the grants for family caregivers or about the whole organization as a whole. Absolutely, let us know. We're happy to accommodate. And 1:30 on the dot. That was my last slide. And I do see something in the chat. Let me just check that. Ooh, I find it hard to make time to complete the training. When I get home at night, I'm exhausted. Danielle, I'm not sure what training you're talking about, but I completely respect life is exhausting, and kudos for trying. All right, I would like to welcome Cheryl Peterson from Wish of a Lifetime, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
That sounds great. Rachel, thanks so much for having me. And I want to thank all of you, whether you're a caregiver or whether you work with caregivers. I'm a social worker and I was a caregiver for my mom. So I really have a lot of, I hold dear the work that you do. I'm excited to talk to you about Wish of a Lifetime because I wish I would have known about Wish of a Lifetime when I was doing direct practice social work and when I was caring for my mom. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to start with a short 90-second video and then run into a PowerPoint, and there will be plenty of time to ask questions. So let's give this technology and sharing our screen a little bit of a check here. Make sure everything works.
You're good.
All right, let's go.
Stories are power. They affect us, inspire us, and change us. We are wish storytellers. We inspire people to live more vibrant and purposeful lives. We grant wishes that celebrate older adults for their wisdom, contributions, and sacrifices.
If you believe in something and you stay at it, you'll finally get the recognition you deserve.
It's important for people to feel empowered to tell their stories because it's a form of immortality.
We reconnect people with their passions, their dreams, and the people they love.
Seeing him interact with the horses was a dream come true.
It's not just a pipe dream anymore. It's electric.
When we grant a wish, it has an extraordinary effect on that person and their community, and it helps them dream bigger than ever before.
Oh, I'm not talking cash.
Wish of a lifetime made his wish come true.
We are Wish of a Lifetime from AARP, and we're changing what's possible as we age, one inspirational wish at a time.
AARP can help keep you in shape.
And so that was just kind of a quick 90-second commercial, and it said that we've granted 2,400 wishes to date, but actually that is from a couple years ago. We've already granted 2,700 wishes. So with that, I'll go to the PowerPoint. Get out of this. Okay. So what Wish of a Lifetime does, as you heard in the video, is we grant life-changing and experiential wishes for older adults who are at risk of social isolation. And those wishes strengthen social connections, they celebrate older adults, and they bring purpose to their lives. We've been around since 2008. We were founded by a gentleman named Jeremy Bloom, who is both an Olympic skier and an NFL football player. In 2019, we had granted 2,000 wishes. In 2020, we joined forces with AARP so that we could get the word out to more people and grant more wishes. Last year, we granted our 2,500th wish, and like I said, now we're over 2,700. Sometimes people think, well, wishes are really simple, and depending on the wish, maybe they are, but they have an impact, and the impact is huge on the people who receive the wish. Here you see Kelly with her mom, and she said, from the time my mom knew that a wish was going to be granted, we noticed her regain her strength. She's getting out and socializing again for the first time in years. I have another story of Dan. Dan was a Navy vet, and his wish was to go back on a submarine. When we reached out to the Navy, they gave us two options. They said, well, we have a submarine museum, and that's one option for him. But the other option, if he really wants to go into a submarine, he has to be able to go up and down a ladder. Well, Dan was in his 90s as a World War II veteran, and we gave him the options, and Dan said, well, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you. Well, we didn't hear back, and we didn't hear back, and we checked in with the person who nominated Dan, who knocked on his door and saw that Dan had gone to Home Depot and bought himself a ladder because Dan really wanted to go on the actual submarine, and he wanted to be able to go up and down the ladder. You saw Colonel Harvey in that last video. Colonel Harvey's story is that he was part of a Tuskegee Air Unit who won a flight contest in World War II, and his unit was never recognized because they were the Black Airmen's unit. We worked with the Air Force so that his unit would be recognized the same as everybody else's. In order to be eligible for a wish from Wish of a Lifetime, the person has to be 65 or older, They have to reside in the US or one of its territories. And the wish is generally something that they cannot fulfill on their own. So in the situation of Dan or Colonel Harvey, those were not financial based wishes at all, but they were definitely wishes that they couldn't make happen on their own. But oftentimes our wishes are financial based. Somebody has to be capable of experiencing a wish. I often say, like, we are different from Make-A-Wish for kids in that you don't have to be like kind of so far gone in order to get a wish. And we grant a lot of wishes to caregivers. And in fact, some of the examples I'll show you have all been caregiver grants. Caregivers can be very isolated in the time that they are taking care of their loved ones because it's a lot of energy and time spent in one place. And able to get a doctor's approval if that's the case. Wishes tend to fall in one of four categories. One is commemorating service, which again is sometimes the armed forces, but sometimes it's mom of many, sometimes it's a family caregiver, sometimes it's a nurse or a teacher, somebody who volunteers a lot in their community. Another category of wish is reconnecting loved ones. We very often are bringing family members together who haven't seen each other for a number of years, friends who grew up in foster care together. It's all these wishes are as unique as the people who have them. Fulfilling lifelong dreams. Here you see somebody who's riding in or driving a race car and renewing and celebrating passions. Chicago Blackhawks fan who had never been to the game, just wanted to go to a Blackhawks game. Here again, I'm going to try on this video, and Rachel, let me know if you cannot hear the sound on this one. This is one of my very favorite caregiver wish stories.
Okay.
No.
Fine.
We can hear.
All right. Here you go.
I did that. Keep going.
To my wife, I stand before you on our wish come true together.
Dear Larry, there are so many reasons why you deserve this trip of a lifetime.
I want to thank you for holding us all together, taking care of 5 kids with me, and all the things you go through in life.
When Laura got sick, you were there. You have been a great dad teaching your kids what life was all about.
After Laura got out of the hospital, you have dedicated yourself to helping her and do everything in your power to help make everyone's day a little better and brighter.
Seems we just were to make it because of your selflessness.
You worked so hard each and every day that you deserve a peaceful, quiet, calm, and stress-free time that we would never have been able to take on our own.
We've had so many great years together, 57 years and many more to come. I am so lucky to have you in my life.
I couldn't have done my life without you. I love you with all my heart. Oh God, Larry, you're still doing this. Okay. God. Finally, after all these years, spending some quality time together, just us. Because everything you've gone through in your life, you deserve something good.
Yeah, you can see why that's one of my favorite caregiving wish stories. But a few other caregivers. Robbie. Robbie was a caregiver for his wife for several years. And I'll share a little bit more. When she was diagnosed with dementia, he doted on her and he devotedly cared for her. He took on the battles she faced with her memory as if they were his own, supporting her and always looking for ways to brighten her day. They celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary before she passed in September of 2019. So Robbie had been isolated because all he had done was care for his wife. There just wasn't much room. But he had, prior to that, had a passion about hybrid cars, and he was fascinated by their potential. He even re-engineered his own hybrid into a fully functional electric plug-in car in 2006. When Wish of a Lifetime heard Robbie's story, we knew we had to honor his dedication to his wife and others in his life. And so we worked with General Motors to invite Robbie to Orion Assembly, where he got to see how electric cars were made. And he was somebody who was featured in the first video. Kathy and her family went to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And like the question I have when I think about Kathy is there a moment in your life that changed everything? And for Kathy, that moment came when on a regular day in 1986, she was waiting for her husband Jim with her 2 children, then ages 5 and 2, for an afternoon of mini golf. Jim was out on a bike ride and he was struck by a vehicle and he suffered a severe frontal lobe head injury. He survived the accident, but he was left with paraplegia, forced to use a wheelchair from that day forward. That changed Kathy's life forever, and it started decades of giving selflessly to others. She stepped into the role as Jim's primary caregiver, and then to support her family, she returned to school to get a teaching degree, and she became an elementary school teacher and continued to teach for 35 years. The family had loved the Thanksgiving Day Parade. It was kind of an annual tradition for them. So Wish of a Lifetime sent Kathy and her family and their service dog to the Thanksgiving Day Parade. That was a fun event, as you can see. Hoda was there and we connected with Patty LaBelle. There were a lot of fun features to that wish. Robert has an interesting story. Robert, as a young man, was drafted to play ball, but then he never got the chance to play ball because he was drafted into the military and he went to Vietnam. He now struggles with Parkinson's, is in a care facility and is completely wheelchair bound. And actually, his closest family member stopped coming to visit. He was very isolated. So we sent Robert and 3 of the staff at the center where he lives to a baseball game because he wanted to see a baseball game while he could still see. We don't often do international wishes, but every now and again there is a story that's so compelling. Ida is a Holocaust survivor. She was a primary caregiver for her husband, And at the time that she was caring for her husband, that distance between her and family overseas was just something that was really feeling kind of overwhelming for her, that she had not seen them since she was a young child. And so we sent her to be reunited with her sister Betty in Israel. Lance is an adult who's living with developmental disabilities, and he's now facing cancer. And his wish was to go to Disney World. And he went with his brother, and his brother told us, you know, Lance doesn't get to make a lot of decisions in his life. Other people are always making them for him. And he was in seventh heaven because he got to do just what he wanted to do. And Lance, when we asked him, what should we tell people? He said, tell them I was happy. Guadalupe lost his wife a couple years ago to cancer and diabetes, and he was in a little bit of a funk, and his daughter reached out and nominated him for a wish of a lifetime that would celebrate his heritage with a mariachi band and a party. That was his wish. And Jan returned to Rocky Mountain National Park. Jan is on oxygen, but got doctor's approval to go, so that was a great trip for her and Susan. Other caregiver wishes, and if you go to YouTube, you'll see Benny's wish. He got to ride a horse and visit the beach. His sister had been his caregiver for years since their parents passed away, and it was really a great time away for both of them. Alice flew to New Mexico for a hot air balloon ride. Jerry rode in a helicopter. John traveled west from Indiana to California on a train. Cynthia's a mom who not only raised her 3 girls, but then she ended up raising her oldest daughter's 3 girls. She never had a day just to herself going to a spa. She never had the resources to do it. So she had a spa day. And Phyllis traveled to Tennessee to see her grandchildren. So again, these are all experiential wishes. They're for anyone 65 and older. Would love you to help us get the word out, particularly to some underserved audiences who don't always hear about us. And that is Alaskan, American Indian, Asian Pacific Islander, Hispanic, Latino, LGBTQ, low income, and adults with developmental disabilities. But again, that's not the only populations we serve. We just realized we have work to do to get the word out to some populations that we are not reaching. So your help is appreciated on that. And if a wish of a lifetime is granted, we cover all expenses: airfare, food, rental car, hotel, photographer, any passes or tickets for both the wish recipient and a companion. We cover care staff as needed and other supporting expenses. I'm loving kind of this opportunity for folks to have the respite care that we were just hearing about earlier, and that this could be a possibility for folks. So again, let this be a tool in your toolbox. It's easy to submit a wish. Just go to our website, www.wishofaLifetime.org, and click on Submit a Wish. And it just walks you right through the application. And the questions include, like, how long have you wanted this wish? Why is this important to you? Tell me about you. What things have you done for a career? What have you done to give back in your community? It takes, like I said, 30 minutes to a half hour. So wish discovery and nominating people is one way to get involved with Wish of a Lifetime. We are also always looking for people to be part of wish granting experiences. We just had a little send off for a woman in Beloit who is going to Kentucky for Derby Week. And we pulled about 15 volunteers together with signs and mint juleps, and they were all wearing their fancy derby hats to celebrate her as she goes on her wish of a lifetime. Cupid Crew is an annual event that we do on Valentine's Day where volunteers deliver roses and cards to older adults. The roses are absolutely free. You will want to sign up with me in order to be notified of that, because last year we did 200,000 and we had more requests than we could fill. Postcard program is a program where once a month, my colleague Caitlin and I share the stories of 5 past wish recipients, and then volunteers send them cards or letters to congratulate them on their wishes. So I would love, if you want to get more information, to have you email me. It's cheryl@wishofaLifetime.org. Just send me your name, email, phone, address, city, state, and zip. I send out a newsletter about once a month, once every 6 weeks, so you're not going to get overly inundated. But it's kind of that little reminder that Wish of a Lifetime is out there. I usually share wish stories or where we might want some help. When we grant a wish, we do share the stories to inspire people of all ages, but it's not a requirement. Like, we leave media or anything is always up to the wish recipient. So in the case with the woman who was going to Kentucky, we did not do any media on that one, even though that was a partnership with AARP Wisconsin. She just didn't want it. That's okay. There's no pay to play at all. Also, we grant probably a third to a half of the wishes that are applied for. So again, I really encourage you, just send me an email and say, I was on the respite care presentation, sign me up, and again, you'll get something maybe once a month, maybe every 6 weeks. But I am gonna stop sharing and ask people to take themselves off mute. I saw somebody put something in the chat. Oh, somebody already responded. Great. On what were our 4 categories of wishes. But feel free to take yourself off mute or put something in the chat. Do you have any questions? Had you heard about Wish of a Lifetime before?
I had never heard of it until I heard you present at the WIFCASA meeting.
Yeah, we really need help getting the word out. If you work for an organization or an agency or one of the, you call them ADRCs in Wisconsin. I'm located in St. Paul. The upper Midwest is my whole region, but I am happy to present virtually, or if there's a conference coming up and you're like, oh, it'd be great if you could be there and have a table and have some resources, let me know. If you just want to talk about a wish, again, send me an email, cheryl@wishofaLifetime.org. I'll put it in the chat. Make sure I didn't make any spelling errors. If you're like, oh, I kind of want to talk this through before I submit it, give me a call. But I would love to see more wishes from Wisconsin. Having this affiliation with AARP is really helping us to get the word out more. But I will just tell you, in Minnesota and Wisconsin and Iowa, there have not nearly been as many wishes as we've had in other parts of the country because of just this. When I ask people, like, have you ever heard of this? I'm like, no. What's most exciting when you think about this as a resource for yourself, for somebody you're caregiving for the organization you work with? Is there anything that's...
Yeah, does anyone have any people that they have in mind? You obviously don't have to share their name, but does anyone have anyone in mind they think they might nominate?
Well, again, if you do have any questions, like I said, just shoot me an email. Do sign up for my mailing list. I think as a social worker, I always like to kind of, keep resources at the top of my head, and then sometimes I would forget about them. So, like I said, my emails don't go on, and it'll just kind of be a little reminder so that at the time that it makes sense for you, you're like, oh yeah, that's right, this exists. And use Wish of a Lifetime to help you in your work. And again, thank you, all of you. And thank you, Rachel, for having me.
Of course. Cheryl, would you be willing to send me the presentation and I can post it and send it to those who registered I'll send it to everyone, but to those who registered and weren't able to make it.
Yep, I'll send you the PDF and a link to the Stories Are Power video.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Bye.
Nice to see everyone.